What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented as always by our friends at Pure Options Precision Crafted Cannabis. You're getting a little stressed out, holidays, everything you got to do. I know Christmas used to be like the most stressful holiday for me, as much as I love it. Pure Options is here for you. Take care of yourself. They've got some great December deals running through December 17th. Go to pureoptions.com to check them out. We're talking pre-rolls, edibles, vapes, whatever you prefer. Pure Options is here for you. Again, locations throughout the state of Michigan, Lansing, and Mount Pleasant, Muskegon, Detroit. Pureoptions.com. You can sign up for their Pure Perks loyalty program as well, and have these deals sent right to your inbox. And also our Monday afternoon show, presented by our friends at Muskox Quality Flannels. This is the time for muskox. Like, first of all, today it's like 49 degrees out. No coat, just a muskox for me. But if you're thinking about gifts for people and you're starting to think, what do I get this person? Nothing shows you care more than a muskox flannel for the guy in your life. I'm telling you right now, it is a be it a father-in-law, as Jason suggested, father-in-law that doesn't really like you, change that vibe with a muskox flannel. It shows you care, the comfort, the quality, the look. They'll know you put time and effort into it and you care about them. Or just get something for yourself. Make yourself feel better this holiday and enjoy a muskox flannel. Go muskox.com. And as always, for Couch and the Rube listeners, $15 off your muskox flannel with the promo code FIXITINPOST, all one word. Fix it in post. Jason, how you doing, brother?
Iguna Yaba Gita Jared Goff.
Big night.
Fuego, gracias, señor. Vamos, Lions.
Vámonos, a ver, 1, 2, 3.
Vamos, Lions.
What's up, buddy? It sucks that we don't do a show like after the game.
Yeah.
On Thursday, because I kind of lose my luster for the hot take show on Monday when we play on Thursdays, because we constantly play on Thursdays.
It becomes,
but anyway, good to see you, man.
It becomes less the story of the show, but
it's still the story of the show. I mean, your
you.
Alan Haller interview is going to have to play backseat
to your Lions. Yeah,
I did enjoy it, by the way, but we'll get to that. But
yeah, we're going to get in everybody's.
But it's just, it was just an amazing feeling. Ford Field, just being there, it's an honor and a privilege. Like, I do not take it for granted. The seats I get from my friend Jordan, who invites me to these games from his work, it's just amazing. 45-yard line, 50-yard. It's just amazing to be able to be in that stadium. We're actually good. Bring on the Bills. F the Bills.
You know, the best thing about this Bills game is that while there's pressure on it, because there's pressure on all these games because the Eagles won't lose, even though they almost did to Carolina and probably should have. A receiver could have held on to a pass.
A fraud.
But even despite all that, like, because of the tiebreaker system, the Lions could lose to the Bills, and if that's their only remaining loss, the Eagles would not jump them. They would have the tiebreaker over the Eagles because that's not a conference loss. So that is the one good thing that, like,
just win.
I'm not saying don't
that's
just
what I
win,
say.
But I'm just saying, like, it takes a little bit of the. It's more.
I know, but I just to pay attention to all of these things. If the season ended today, and if this happens and this happens, it's like, just let's go win.
More important to beat the Vikings at the end of the year than the Bills this week.
Let's run the ball. Beat the Vikings too every time.
Yeah,
it's a great time to be alive, Graham.
Well,
God damn, it's a great time to be alive.
We're gonna dig into
got one loss, man.
To everybody's hot takes. We got some really good stuff. A lot of people are pretty excited about Michigan State basketball after the performance Saturday. A lot of talk about the Haller interview I did and the and NIL and MSU football and all that.
An Alabama fan just flipping their tit, not being in the college football playoff,
and a lot of college football playoff talk.
Oh my God!
Absolutely, that is tremendous. I mean, it is pretty amazing the lack of logical conclusions people come to. Like, when this was a 4-team playoff, is this
your first hot take, by the way? Are we getting into it?
You know what? No, hold on. Yeah, I shouldn't do this because this is not my first hot take. So I don't want to blow like my 3A hot take. Yeah.
Haller. Anyway, Haller. Go ahead.
No. Well, I'll go first.
Uh-huh.
All right. This is my first hot take of the day. Or first take of the day. Reasonable, measured take of the day. So if you haven't read it, I did an interview with Alan Haller, and I think the most important thing to take from that interview is that he essentially put on record that the resources will be there for MSU football and that the expectations will be to compete for championships. The resources will be there to compete for championships, and the expectations are that for the football program. And as they move into revenue sharing, that's where their focus is. And the reason that's important is for all the concerns out there about NIL and how it's communicated and what MSU actually has in this realm and where the program is, it takes the excuses away. So if you're worried about like the recruiting class right now and all that stuff, and that's valid, that's fine. I'm just saying all of the excuses, all of the word, like all of it is now. Alan Haller essentially puts it on himself and his department and the donors that he works with, and basically when it's in house, they'll put it on himself and the department to provide the resources and the coaching staff to get it done. And that to me is that's an important line to draw, that he is putting that on record, that the resources will be there to meet the expectations they have, and the expectations they have are to be a top third of the Big Ten program regularly and compete for championships. And I think that being on the record, I think, is important. And that's there's a lot of other stuff that was interesting in the idea of adding $1 million in women's scholarships, which would be about 20 to 25 scholarships, and what and how this all works and all that stuff. And we'll get into some of the questions from that interview that we have through Hot Takes here a little bit, and later in the week through our Twitter questions. But I think that was the most important thing to me, that he basically laid out there that will be there, and that's the expectation.
When I read it this morning, and I take notes because I put notes for the Hot Take show because we do shows every 5 days now or whatever. And after I read it, I just wrote simply, there is no buffoonery with Haller. After I read that. Meaning, like, you read it, you go, well, what is he supposed to say? But you also realize that he's a smart guy. He's calculated. He, as much as fans, and I think that most like rational fans, the issue they had with Haller is that he wasn't defending against the CMU, the Michigan stuff, the way the NCAA kind of treats Michigan State. Other than that, I think that Michigan State fans are really happy with Haller because he's hiring really good people. I mean, the jury's still out on Jonathan Smith, but I think Jonathan Smith is a competent football coach. Things are going in the right direction. But reading the interview with Haller, I think he answered the questions the way that he was supposed to. There was really no duh answers in there. But I like the way he handled the question about, fans maybe weren't happy with your reaction to that and maybe not defending Michigan State. I appreciated his answer with that one.
So there's some stuff that I'll say he does not want to talk about CMU anymore, and some of the Michigan stuff he doesn't want to get into because you can tell he wants to have professional relationships.
I'm not talking about Michigan.
And he's not as worried about, I think.
That's how people handle it.
Yeah, he's not worried about coming off winning the hot take of the day or winning the. Now, you can argue that's the wrong approach, and I think he would admit that, like the Michigan week this year, he could have come out more forcefully, and he could have done that better. I think he would admit.
But
that.
Is that him? Is that the way he wants to do it? Right?
Well,
like, don't be something you're not.
Yeah, and I do think with CMU that that is not off his radar. Like, let me just say that I don't want to. Sure. That is not off his radar, and I do think you will see. That's not done. Put it that way.
I'm just saying you don't have to flail your hands. Like, I like to react on certain things. Like, That's how I react. That's not the smart way to react. Sometimes smart people handle things internally, react to it in certain ways. I understand that, but just don't be something you're not. If Haller doesn't want to come out and be, act pissed off in the media, that's understandable.
Haller does not want to be Matt C. is what he's trying not to be from our show. But
I do.
We love you, Matt. But I also think if there is a place of, like, the place that I am most intrigued to see what happens going forward is it's very clear through Jonathan Smith and based on his comments on signing day and from Haller that they are excited to get to July 1st and the revenue sharing in-house and what that can do for their football program and where that's prioritized and where they think they'll be able to compete there and maybe have some advantages. But it's also, I think, the outside NIL world is still going to play a major role in things. And what the enforcement of that looks like and the oversight, and because there is supposed to be a clearinghouse and deals are supposed to be a little more regulated, we will see. I have my doubts on all of that. But I think what's going to separate some of the big teams from, the mid-level teams still is going to be that outside NIL. And I am curious to see, how much of a priority what that is going forward. But this is why, despite him sort of saying that's still to be seen what happens with collectives moving forward, what was most important, I go back to the idea that he's saying the resources will be there and the expectations are regularly a top third of the Big Ten program and competing for championships. That is important because ultimately you're saying whatever the system requires, and this is what he basically said, they will do that. And so that's on record, and I think that's really important. And now it's up for he and his department and for Jonathan Smith and his staff to get that done. And so that's my first take.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
A lot of talk and speculation, Graham. Not just on 97.1, but a lot of people just kind of uneasy about Dan Campbell and going for it. And when you're at the game, I have to say, it's a lot. I don't know if I should start bringing like a headset where I need to listen to the radio call, because a lot of times when you're at a game, you kind of miss certain things. But as far as going for it, I mean, can we blame Dan Campbell anymore for going for it now? You can argue whether or not it's the right idea. Should you? What are they? Not math, but what's the
analytics?
Analytics. Thank you. The analytics into it and all that stuff. Whether or not Dan Campbell knows that stuff. As a Lions fan, we just have to kind of embrace it now. I think if you want to question Dan Campbell, by the way, Aaron Glenn, multiple game balls for the way that defense came through. All we heard was about injuries and this and that, and just an unbelievable, especially in the first half, holding the Bears scoreless. If you want to question Dan Campbell and the coaching staff.
The Packers, you mean?
Against the Bears.
Oh, we're talking the Bears.
Yeah, I'm talking about the Bears. What game am I on?
The Packers.
The Packers game. Sorry, I said Bears. I'm on the Bears. Anyway, I don't know. I'm so confused now after.
This is what, yeah. If you want to feel like Jason, Pure Options is here for you.
I've had no Pure Options, just cold medicine today.
Okay.
But I'm saying question for it, going for it on fourth down. But if you want to question Dan Campbell, maybe the second half adjustments, because sometimes it does seem like our offense does seem kind of stagnant in the fourth quarter. But my point being is, should we really care if we go for it anymore? I trust this team, even though Jared Goff tripped on that one. I almost had a heart attack on that one against Packers. But I'm saying, should we question anymore? I think we should be okay with going for it on our own side of the field, at our own 20-yard line, whatever. Well, let's just be fine with it, right? We're going to live with it.
There are two things that I think are important here. One, Jared Goff did say that that was something that Dan Campbell wrestled with that last decision. It wasn't like it was something, I'm Dan Campbell, we go for it on that last one.
We should be, though.
Well, nah. They partly lost the NFC Championship game because of that, too.
If that's one thing that we should, honestly, no, the NFC Championship game was lost on drops.
That's true.
Those were absolute great play calls. And stop it. You're going to get people going to Dan Campbell's new house now. Don't do that shit.
Don't ever do
not
that.
Dan Campbell's
any coach or player. Don't
do it to any.
Don't go to anybody.
Even tweeting at players is fucking weird.
So, but the other component is, I think the way he looked at it, it wasn't like they were behind. I think if you're behind, you have to kick that field goal.
Correct.
I think when you're tied, he looked at it as, you miss this, you're probably screwed. You make it, though, and they're going to have probably time to go get the same field goal, and you're going to overtime.
You trust your team. You're at home
you
with
finish
that crowd.
Finish it with the offense when your defense is banged up. I had zero problem with it. And also, one of the things I always think about with this idea of analytics is you have to know your team and your situations, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves with analytics. Like, well, the analytics say that you should go for 2 here based on all these
to go down 9.
Well, based on all these situations, right? With going over overtime with all these different NFL teams. What about your team? The plays you have called, the momentum of the game, how you feel about it. Those things aren't taken into account enough, and that needs to be a big part of analytics. And I think with Dan Campbell, when you have a team where the team thinks they're going for it on fourth down, this is part of who they are. You have a situation with that defense, and I had zero problem with it. And
Ford Field, I have to say Ford Field, I know it's recency bias, but was louder against the Packers last Thursday than it was in the playoff game against the Rams.
It did not come through on TV.
I know, because Amazon, I don't know what Amazon does, because I heard the field goal after the game with Al Mike, and I love Al. Al's a legend, but Al's got to retire. I'm sorry, but if you can't get up, a little more enthusiasm for that call.
Yeah.
I mean, why can't we get Benetti to do the game or something? I don't know. I love Al. But, yeah, it did not come through because it was definitely, especially that first defensive drive, that crowd, everybody was on their feet and yelling their ass off. So it was beautiful.
All right. MSU basketball. They are doing things
Don't coach my team.
we haven't seen since before the pandemic. Right? I mean, they are. And some of it is, a lot of it is the rebounding, and props to Eric Schultz for being somebody who's really harped on that being a difference in the program, before the end of the...
Schultz is pro rebounding?
Well, everybody's pro rebounding,
Oh.
but just that being a big difference. I think he realized that was a bigger difference in what was happening in MSU basketball over the last 4 years, before a lot of people did, before I did. Like when I was trying to figure out why is this team...
You know ball. You didn't see that?
You would think I would. You would think I would. Sometimes, yeah. No, Eric was on that. But anyway, the rebounding is a big part of that. The rebounding at levels right now that we haven't seen. They're doing things, frankly, that are better than the end of the Xavier Tillman era on that front in certain ways. The pace they're playing with, the offensive efficiency. They haven't had a player as efficient offensively as Jace Richardson, who's number 5 in the country right now in offensive efficiency per Ken Palm, since Cassius Winston. His junior year, I think, or maybe his sophomore year when he was the most efficient player in the country. And, I do still have one real concern for this team, and that is how they handle close games late that are decided in the half court, right? That's still because they're going to run into those. We saw that not look great when they had a possession against Memphis when they were down like 7 points fairly late and really needed a bucket. And I think what they have, though, is because of the depth they have, because of the pace they play with, how hard they play defensively, and the rebounding and the free throw shooting and everything they do really well, teams that are less than them really don't have a chance. And that's a big part of staying in the Big Ten race and being in the Big Ten race, is not dropping games to teams that are going to be in the bottom half of the Big Ten or in the middle of the Big Ten or aren't as good as you. Nebraska is an okay team. They beat a Creighton team that was really good, and they beat them on the road. Now, Creighton just lost one of its best players, so unfortunately that loss is going to look bad over time, and that won't be measured correctly. But I do think, Nebraska's not bad. They're not good, but they're not bad. You know what I mean? They're not like Minnesota's bad. They went into Minnesota and thumped a bad team. I don't think Nebraska's bad, and they played a game where they took the soul from Minnesota in that 25-1 run. I do not see a debilitating weakness with this team other than
matchup proof.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that yet because they haven't played enough teams to know that, and I don't believe they have what they don't have. And the MSU women are similar to this to some degree too. And I watched them yesterday against DePaul, but they don't. I don't know if they have a 5 that's perfect, but in every game they should be able to find a 5 out of their top 8 to 10 that really works. And so it's the other thing is you think about the center position for this team and how solid they've been. And Jackson Kohler's played as much at the 4 as he has the 5 certainly. So that's not really directly the center, but he's averaging 8.3 rebounds a game, the most by a Michigan State player by a ways since Tillman. Averaged 10.3 in 2019-20. And he's doing it in about 24, 25 minutes a game. You think about the guy that people maybe wanted Michigan State to go after, the center in the portal, Ballo, the kid from Indiana who was at Arizona last year, who's making a reported $1.2 million for a miserable Hoosiers team that's poorly coached. He's averaging 12.7 points and 9.3 rebounds, but about the same rebounds per 40 minutes as Kohler. And he's a 54% free throw shooter. You watch him at the line, and that just kills you at the end of the games. And that's one of the things I don't think Izzo, that's why Izzo doesn't play Carson Cooper late in games, because he can't stand bad free throw shooting from his big men. I think it's just, look, I'm not saying Izzo didn't screw up the center position portal a year ago, but this year, the upgrade to Zapala over Mady Sissoko, and you just see the difference in hands and ability to make play. In size. It's just a huge upgrade. A lot. There were 3 or 4 plays in Saturday's game against Nebraska that Sissoko doesn't make, that his teammates don't even try to make in terms of passes because they just didn't trust it. Huge upgrade there. An upgrade at a reasonable price that doesn't blow up your budget and fracture the team, right, and get guys transferring out. Because The guy, if they had really tried to replace their front line, they might have lost Jackson Kohler this year. And that would have been too bad because this is the year he's really come on, right? I don't think anybody would disagree with that. Anyway,
I'm just reminiscing about the Madi Sissoko era. Last year was a lot of fun. Really wild. Yeah.
Final take from this, as much as we gave a lot of shit to A.J. Hoggard, and some of it deserved, that era was more hurt by Sissoko than it was, or I would say at least as much.
But we knew what Sissoko was, though.
But they still played him.
They still
played him a lot.
Yeah.
The team got better when his minutes went down. That's what it was.
Hoggard was more of a bummer, though. No, we knew what we were getting with Madi, bringing him back. AJ with the attitude and everything.
Lack of consistency, 100%. No, look, this is an MSU team that we haven't seen in a while that should be a lot of fun to watch. There are still things they have to prove. Like I watch Illinois play at Northwestern. I know they lost that game, but they've got two incredible freshmen. They've got a guy who looks like Steph Curry, a couple foreign kids who are like, there are going to be tough games ahead. But this team is going to be, I think, very much in the mix. For a Big
Is it
Ten
a bad thing that I just want to see more? Like I don't want to celebrate
I don't think
right
it's bad
now.
either. No,
like I'm happy with the guys that are playing well. But I just don't want to go like, aha, I've seen it.
Nope.
Yep.
Look, they have one win this year against a really quality opponent, and that's North Carolina, right?
Yep.
And they've lost a couple other competitive games. They've beaten, they've won a road game in the Big Ten against a bad team. They've beaten a decent team at home, and home games can lie to you. They are playing incredibly well. But after the last 4 years, and with still some questions here and there, I think you should want to see more. You should, absolutely. I think it's okay to revel in the enjoyment of seeing something that looks familiar from years ago and looks promising, and also say, still a little bit before I trust it. And I think that's all fair.
All right, let's get to the college football playoff. And I know that a lot of Alabama SEC fans had an issue with it, but I want to start for where it starts with the selection show and the committee and where they watch the game. Because I have to say, I always goof on you, and I goofed on you over the weekend about your TV setup, and I saw John Keating in his setup too. It's like, what are you guys doing? Why does the committee, first of all, have to watch the games together? Like, what is it where they have, like, TVs? By the way, there's one game on at a time, and there's 3 TVs on, and they're all just staring at the TV. There's no fun. They're sitting there with Perrier water. There's no exciting. There's nobody going out for a fucking Pure Options break. Like, you guys, like, you don't have to have your eyelids taped wide open to view the game. Like, you can sit there and you can hang out. You can have some snacks. You know what I mean? Like, why do you have to act as if you guys are so fucking important with these $1,000 chairs you're sitting in? It looks like the most boring. Football is made to watch in fun environments. What is this? And in the pregame show or the playoff committee show, like, fuck that thing too. I'm sick of that. I'll see it after. I don't need to watch Reese Davis and that whole preamble for 45 fucking, like, no one cares. Tell us the picks or Herb Street, wherever he's at. I don't care about his opinion anyway. So I'm like, why? Just let's revamp the whole thing. And by the way, when we're going to revamp the college football playoff, the conference winners, like the conference championship thing, you should not get a first round bye, right? That's where we should start. So there's so many ways to fix this thing. I'm not bummed about Alabama. Alabama could sit this one out with that loss against Oklahoma. I'm sure we've talked about it ad nauseum, but that leaving Alabama out doesn't bother me. It's more of the playoff selection committee show and watching those dumbasses sit there and have to watch that. It's like, oh wow, the committee's going to get it right because they're staring at the TV.
Yeah, the conference championship things, which I liked originally, I did. I liked that there was value in that, and as you watch it, as you get closer to it, number one, the conference championship games have to go.
They have to, right?
I'll dig into this.
Do we have to wait 2 years? Like, people are saying, well, until 2027. Like, no, we can do it for next year. We've proved it that we can do it.
Yeah, and right. It just doesn't, because it penalizes. Like Oregon, in some ways, had the best season of anybody in college football, and did so, flying back east to play games in a new conference.
They
and all
should
that stuff.
Be pissed. Or
yeah, and so they do get a bye, but they also had to play in a conference championship games, which sort of negates the bye, and then they have maybe the toughest road to continue and to win. Their toughest path just based on the way the conference championship games. Forcing the buys for other teams then screws up the bracket. 100% agree. And I think they got to get rid of the conference championship games because, like, there is no problem with just having tiebreakers. They used to do it before conference championship games. You can have co-champions. Yep. More teams feel good about themselves with co-champions, and then the tiebreakers can decide something if you need them to, but I don't think you need them to necessarily. I don't think you need the tiebreaker to decide who gets a bye and who doesn't. I think in basketball, you have co-champs. right, all the time. And people are okay with that. Half of Michigan State's basketball banners, co-champs. A lot of people couldn't tell you which ones are. They're good with it. When you have an 18-team league, trust me, people will be okay being co-champs. Michigan State fans, if they win a co-championship of Big Ten football, they will be okay with it. And there's no way around it, because the other problem is you've created these leagues, and they screwed this up. The leagues are just too big to have, it's too big to have schedules that are comparable. It's not going to be perfect. And therefore, you don't need to reward conference champions, to me, too much in the playoff. The playoff needs to move up a week, and I think that'll be taken care of pretty soon.
But why are we just letting it happen? Like you said, we're getting this mess together, letting the mess happen. Then we go, oh yes, we have to fix it. We can't foreshadow and maybe fix something before it even happens.
And what you want here too is this:
like, good God,
when it's a 12-team playoff, the teams that are mad they're not in are flawed, have screwed something up. They don't really have a case. Nobody's ever really going to have a case in a 12-team playoff. There might be an occasional team or a mid-major. Somebody gets, but really, when you had a 4-team playoff, that's what you worried about. They got lucky a lot of years. My thing is, you get the Alabama AD saying, well, they're not going to play tough non-conference games, even though they didn't lose a non-conference game. Yeah. I think what they should do is this. I think they should have a blanket rule to be eligible for the college football playoff. And you give teams a couple years to get this sorted out. You have to play 5 true road games a year. You play 12 games, 5 true road games, seems reasonable, against high major competition. And if your league doesn't do that for you, and some years, like if you play 9 conference games, the Big Ten takes care of that for you for every other year. You play 5 in conference on the road, then you can play all home non-conference. But this would solve a lot of the scheduling issues. Not all of them, but it would solve intent in scheduling. Everybody would know they went out to play 5 Power 4 teams on the road, either in conference or in conference and non-conference combined. And then, there's so many problems with the strength of schedule component, because they value teams who are top 25 teams, but there's not much difference between a team that's ranked 19th to 28th. So you get much more credit for beating a 19th ranked team based on some committee versus a 28th ranked team. To me, intent in scheduling should matter. Deserved should matter. And I understand we're trying to pick the best teams, but you know what you'll get if you pick the 12 most deserved teams? You'll always get the 8 best. The 8 best aren't getting left out of the 12 most deserved. And I think I'm good with that. And I think that those are the things they need to start looking at. This is the first year of it. 12 is great. We're all excited about it. Keep tweaking it. Keep working on it. Conference championship games have to go. They didn't sell out. People aren't excited about them. And I know there's a lot of money there. They're going to have to figure out ways around that. But people aren't going to want to play those games. There's no juice for them. There's no point to them anymore. And I think we'll learn other things. I think the other thing that's going to happen this year is that first road playoff game, home playoff game for Penn State, for Notre Dame, for teams like that is just going to be an awesome, and Columbus, that is going to be this awesome setting. I think everybody will want I think this will be the beginning of getting rid of the bowls, too, and getting rid of, because they've just got to stand up to them. The Rose Bowl was great for 100-plus years. Michigan State played in the last great Rose Bowl before the playoff. Great memories, great things. Be amazing. The Big Ten teams are going to be playing in the Rose Bowl every few years at UCLA anyway. Now, if you want to do some sort of neutral site thing early in the year where people are excited to go to some of these venues, you can figure something out. I don't know. But
who's watching the bowl games? I mean, I know, and I'm a gambler, and I love football, but some of the bowl games, there's no way I'm going to tune. Like Correct. Michigan, Alabama, I could give 2 shits, and that's as a gambler. I can't gamble on it enough to make me want to sit down and watch it.
And the problem is, because there are so many opt-outs now, you don't even know what you're gambling
about
on.
It.
Right. So
it's the NBA.
I'm not saying the bowl games have to go entirely, but the idea.
But why not?
The idea that
but how can you charge advertising for a bowl game that with a straight face of?
The big thing that has to go is the bowl games being part of the playoff has to go.
Okay.
That to me has to go. Those can't.
Sure.
You can't be saying, oh, well, we got to play in the Rose Bowl on January 1st. Is a quarter or is a semifinal or whatever.
Why not? That bothers you that much? I think I would like the Rose Bowl around still, but
I'd rather have the quarterfinals also be home sites. I think that should be a reward. If you get a bye, you should also still
there's
get
too much money in those.
You should also get
though, right?
I don't think so. If you get a bye, but the money's in TV. If you get a bye, you get to host a game. And right now, if you're Oregon, you don't get to host a game. The teams that didn't get a bye get to host it. And like Oregon,
but there's money in TV and there's money in Jerry World too. Having those things, and
I don't know.
There's money everywhere.
All right, was that your third hot take?
No, I just briefly about the Baseball Hall of Fame. I just have a love-hate relationship with it. But Dave Parker, Dick Allen finally getting into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I love Dave Parker, big Dave Parker fan. Dick Allen, wasn't a big Dick Allen fan, but it just bothers me that some of the guys like Dick Allen who should have been in, a lot of baseball purist guys say that Dick Allen and Parker should have been in a long time ago. And it bothers me, a guy like Dick Allen who died in 2020. Like, I just feel like baseball should let some of these guys in that are surefire Hall of Famers. A lot of the baseball purists know they should be in there. Let these guys enjoy it while they're still alive. Because Dave Parker, I mean, thank God he's still alive for it, but it was, who knows, right? I mean,
if Lou Whitaker's not in, I'm not sure I can do it. It's sort of like
that's what I mean.
It's like the Lansing, Greater Lansing Sports Hall of Fame. Until Mike Ingram, the LCC men's basketball coach, is in, the Hall of Fame does not exist to me. And I know that like lots of people. I mean, I just don't.
Isn't Mad Dog in there?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, Mike Griffith is in there, for fuck's sake. You know, like, I'm sorry. Like, and I, you know, nothing against Mike, but Mike Griffith should not be in before Mike Ingram. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
Mike Griffith.
What are we doing? All right, my final take here, and this is maybe this is a take on workshopping still. So, you know, I'm not going to stand
it's a
by.
safe space here.
This isn't like a comfortable, really durable muskox take here. But
I thought the Lions played the Bears last Thursday. So you're fine.
With NIL and revenue sharing and all that stuff, as we move toward employment with college athletes, and I think we're going to get there. And it was interesting to hear Alan Haller talk about that every move that's being made is toward that, right? And it's just, I think one of the things that's going to help, and this is where it should go, is 1-year contracts for players. And what I mean by that is if you come in January, you're not up to leave in May. You're there till the next year. You've got 1 year with the team. If you come in May, you're part of the program until next May. You sign a 1-year deal. And that would allow coaches to know, and then you could get rid of the transfer portal entirely. There's no transfer portal in the NBA when you're a free agent. When your contract's up, you can stay, you can go, you got to be re-signed, right? It's an employment deal. It would take that sort of angst out of it. You know, at the end of somebody's contract, you have to sign them again, or they can go anywhere they want. You could, if somebody wants to sign a multi-year contract, that's fine. You could have some sort of offers with that. I still think one of the best things in a way to do that would be, if you are a coach, you could offer a 4-year contract, and part of that deal is that player knows for 4 years they're not getting kicked out of the program. They got 4 years of education there. They're signed up. They're in. And obviously, if a coach left or something, and players could ask out still here and there, I think the idea of 1-year contracts, so with everybody on your roster, you understood when that was up. And year over year, or you can sign whatever it is, but minimum 1-year contracts, nothing in the 4-month variety, nothing that.
But how would you get an athlete to sign up for a deal like that?
Well, that would just
it
be part
makes
of the
sense for you as a university and a program.
It's part of the revenue share. This is a new world now. Where these are going to be employment contracts. They're going to be employees too. So I think that's where you
but
have
are the athletes going to unionize?
Well, it'll be.
I'm just saying, if I'm an athlete and I have it free reign right now, and you're like, you're going to have to sign a 1-year contract, I go, no, I'm not. Why should I? I can leave whenever I want, right?
I think that's where we're headed, though. I don't.
It's where you want to be headed, but it's just what I'm saying. When you give the athletes, and there's no structure to it, and you give the athletes free reign, why all of a sudden you're going to be able to rein them in with no unionization or anything?
It's a fair question. I think we do wind up.
I mean, I'm with you. Something needs to happen, but I just feel like it makes sense for us to give you a 1-year contract. It's like if I'm an athlete, I'm sure it does, but I'm not going to do that until we have some parameters and protect myself, I guess.
Well, there would be advantage. I mean, the advantages to the deal is you know you're getting paid. You're not relying on some third party that could pull out on you on a late October night when you're on your way to play Iowa. You know what I mean? Like this would be part of the deal with the school. You would know for a year you're getting paid, and you're getting paid whatever you agreed to be paid. And I think there'd be value in that to some degree as well. Anyway, workshopping, not sticking by it, not a muskox, firm, durable, comfortable idea that
that's not the couch we know and love. We like the off the handle couch that just fires it out and asks about it later.
Don't worry, there were a few of those tweets this weekend. For those I just.
Oh yeah, the female, the 3 ladies talking football.
Well, yeah, but that guy's obvious.
Can I just say something?
Yeah,
I don't want to hear 3 dudes sit around and talk about football. So when a guy like that, I know that person is, I don't know, doesn't like women or something like that. But I mean, I have the same sentiment though. If I see 3 women talking football, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to tune into that. But that you can go for those 6-panel guys on the pregame shows. I don't want to hear from those dudes either. So I can still vote for a female politician and still feel that way.
But I'll tell you this: anybody who feels the need to say "I don't want to see that" on Twitter,
sure,
is not going to vote for a
1,000%. That's why I said
I
know.
You can feel a certain way and not say it out loud, and not have it be your character is said when you're like, you know what, I need to let people know.
Yeah. Because like Courtney Cronin, like Mina Kimes, there are women that do talk football that I do enjoy, but it's more of just about the setting that some of the women are in that I can understand. Like, it just doesn't matter who you put in there. I mean, God damn it, Snoop Dogg and that fucking commercial, that T-Mobile thing that airs every 14 seconds.
But you just said it, though. I like Mina Kimes a lot. I think she's very smart. I think Courtney Cronin is really smart. So if those two were sitting there talking football, I would listen 100%. So I think it has nothing to do with it.
But it also depends, like I said, the setting. Yeah, I mean, if it's on like the First Take or one of the thingy shows or whatever, but I mean, if they're just sitting around.
If you care about intelligent football talk, it has nothing to do with gender. It has something to do with the setting.
All right.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm saying because there is intelligent football.
You lose me at intelligent football talk. Let's just talk fucking football. You know what I mean?
I may have
A and B gaps.
I may have.
We watch ball.
I may have gone after Dabo Sweeney and his God talk late at night too. I was really annoyed that night, and but we'll get into that a little bit in the listener hot takes. Are you ready to dig into these? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, and quickly before we do, I know that some people were thrown off. I set the deadline for 11 p.m. Sunday. I got everybody who got theirs in before the show. I got in. I'm going to start setting the deadline just a little earlier on Sundays, and if you get them in, before an hour before the show, I'll probably be able to get it in. It just helps me a ton on Mondays with work and everything to do a lot of it before I go to bed.
Yeah,
Sunday.
let's help Graham out.
Please help me out.
Can we please help Graham out? We don't help him out enough.
Oh, they do. Eric especially. But anyway.
By the way, teacups.org. Teacups.org. People are still buying Christmas ornaments. We can ship them out to you, make them in time for the holidays.
Absolutely.
Hoodies and everything. Eric Schultz up first. I'll leave the MSU football season with this. Next week, it'll be on to basketball. Number 1, the difference between 5-7 and 7-5 is usually coaching. 2, if what Haller says is true, and MSU is a top 3rd NIL school in the Big Ten, there's no excuse to have MAC-level talent. 3, every once in a while, Couch says something so outrageous that it can't go unaddressed. So here we go. Last week, when asked about the recruiting class and expectations, he said the class was on the low end of meeting expectations. Per both Rivals, 50th nationally, and 24/7, 59th, MSU's current recruiting class is their second worst since the sites began compiling data 25-ish years ago. In no universe does it resemble anything close to the expectation for this program. Your statement shows a complete lack of understanding in what the fan base wants from the program that you cover. As the guy who is paid for his opinions, that simply can't happen. Respectfully, so no, Couch. It missed expectations by a ways, and it's okay to say it. And again, if what Haller says is true about the state of NIL, that should be a massive concern about the direction of the program under those leading it. Sorry, Jason.
Appreciate you, Eric.
No worries, man. No worries.
Yeah. And don't mind the critique. Never do. And I think you guys know that. This is a safe place to
Graham's workshopping. You can workshop too.
No, I think I think he's workshopped this. I think he's pretty firm on this. And that's a fair criticism. And I do think it was probably below what. So the word expectations, like what I thought would happen this year, it was on the low end of that, but it wasn't out of the realm of what I thought would happen this year. And I think when we're talking expectations, what you expect for the program versus what I thought would happen this year is sort of what I meant by that. I also think that, you have to look at, this is a coach who has said trust his evaluation. He trusts his evaluations. They trust their evaluations. That's what they're going to lean in on. Now, I know two things. One, that's what coaches say when they have shitty recruiting classes. Like I remember with Mark D'Antonio, he trusted all his evaluations, even with some really good classes that weren't rated that high. And then when they got a lot of stars all of a sudden, he was very happy to talk about all the stars and the highly ranked recruiting classes and the recruiting services. So coaches play that to their favor all the time. But I also know that when you look at D'Antonio's early high school classes, none of the guys who became anything were rated any better than any of the guys that are in this class. And so when you talk about trusting and evaluating, and that's what we'll have to see. Look, the bar has been sort of set by Haller. He said what they're going to have the money to do, and he said what they expect Jonathan Smith and his staff to be able to do with those resources. And so it's up to them to do it. It's and I think the hard part is not getting too overworked about the process. If something doesn't look good along the way, see what it looks like on the field. And I think we're in that realm with the transfer portal and recruiting and the movement. I mean, it's just hard to recognize the build in the offseason. I think the end of that was the Mel Tucker summer where he got like 9 guys to commit who were 4 stars in June and lost most of them, and that felt like that was something happening, and it wasn't. And then there are years where if you look at D'Antonio's classes where it doesn't look like something's happening. I mean, I should look this up. It's either 2010 or 11. It's one of the best classes in the country, and it was not rated anywhere such. So maybe their evaluations are correct. Maybe these are guys they really wanted and they think they can build and win with, and the way they're going to develop the program, they want guys they can develop, and then they'll go after high-end portal guys. Maybe that's the calculus. We'll see. Again, you're 100% right, though, that I would think based on fan expectation where the recruiting class was ranked, based on the idea that the resources are supposedly there, is low. So that's 100% fair.
Dominic next, number 1. Couch really is a natural treasure.
National.
It says natural.
Maybe it is natural. I don't know.
It says natural.
Okay. Yeah.
Just send
is that worse or better?
Just send versions of the same 7 texts over and over and over. Amazing stuff. 2, nothing happened, but I just saw another John U. Bacon tweet, and just the sight of his penis-y face makes me want to kick him right in the Schembecklers. God, he's an annoying little weenie. 3, if the Bears fuck up this next hire, I'm taking my talents to the Lions. I've suffered enough. And bonus, I publicly apologize, Couch. Your fucking turn, Chach.
Did you see the exchange with Jackson Kohler's dad, Jeff Kohler?
Jeff and I are now Twitter friends.
Yeah.
So, yes, I did see it.
That was fantastic.
It was fantastic. It's good to see someone have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, Jeff's great.
Yeah.
And Dominic, great for having the humility to recognize when he was wrong. What I don't know here, however, Dominic, is what you mean by my turn to apologize. What are we talking about? Which take is it?
Pretty hard on Jackson.
Me?
Yeah.
I have been pro-Jackson.
And Cohen Carr.
I have been pro-Jackson.
So first apology to Cohen Carr.
No. I don't
then
think
Jackson will be fine.
Just apologize. I just need some direction, Dominic. That's all it is. Because so many of my takes have been so bad over the years. Many of them probably needing that.
Can we talk about number 1, though? Like, what is it with your Twitter? Like, I don't know how. Like, if I tell you something before the show, if I say it on here, I feel like I have to announce that we've already talked about it or something. You can just fire the same take, and you don't feel like you have to kind of. I know I've said this before, but you just constantly. I don't know. It's like an impressive.
This weekend was the first time I thought about not leaving Twitter. I mean, I've thought about leaving Twitter before, but stopping. Sort of having reactions on Twitter and just saying, if you want to, interact with me or whatever, we'll do it on the show. Because we do the show twice a week with reader interactions. There's lots of times to do it, and it's just easier and there's more nuance. Because it is true, though.
Then just do it. You don't have to announce it.
That's true.
Just one day, where's Graham? Yeah, did you sign up for his newsletter? Nah. All right. Forget it then.
Point being,
I hope he has a good life.
I do repeat a lot of the same takes, and I get fired up over them, and I enjoy certain ones of them.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
It is. It's like a stand-up comedian. There are certain stand-up comedians that for 25 years they don't change their act, and they just go town to town doing the same act, or they switch it up here and there, put things around it. But it's like
the one about the South.
Kind of what you're doing.
The one about the South, I probably got to retire. I've done it so many times, but I do enjoy it. Like the
Izzone's racist. I mean, they're all great.
I didn't say the Izzone's racist. I just said there's not enough.
Oh.
It's not diverse enough, is what I said.
Right.
But
semantics.
Yeah. But the point about the South, like I don't see any, like I can understand being upset. Like these people have nothing else, and this is now you have to wait 8 months, and through those 8 months, it's just ungodly hot. Like I get that. Like why is that not a thing? Why didn't more people not understand why Alabama's so pissed off? Like they got nothing else. They got zero.
And by the way, if you want to jump on the Lions bandwagon, I understand. You might as well just do it now because as long as you have a general manager like Ryan Poles, I just don't think anything's a guy. Kept Eberflus on for another season. What's he gonna? Yeah. What hire is he gonna make? Oasis Dog 97 next. The shittier Jackson Kohler's facial hair is, the better he plays. Nobody is ready for him to drop 30, 20, 15, and 4 and a chin strap beard. Bonus, Jeff, please respond to this tweet with you and your wife's thoughts on the goatee. And from Jeff Kohler, Mom will love that face no matter what. I think the chin hair, wow, Graham thought that was funny. I think the chin hair would look better in a muskox flannel.
Well played, Jeff, and well played, Oasis.
Give Jeff Kohler a gift card.
This is certainly the muskox.
Give the man a gift card.
We can work on that. This is the muskox take of the day from our guy Jeff Kohler. This was durable, funny, stand strong.
What, parents can't get a gift card?
Well, no,
is that against the rules? I mean, if players can get paid.
Apparently, this would probably be a 7-year NCAA violation if I send him a gift. No, I'm kidding. Yes, we can do a gift card for Jeff Kohler next time he's in town for one of our beloved.
It's a mailbox.
Places.
You don't have to hand it to him. All right.
No. I can mail it to him. So next time he's in town, he can go to Front 43 or Midtown Brewing Company. Is what I'm saying.
No.
Like that. And he can take Jackson out and enjoy that setting for sure. But yes, that is the muskox take of the day. And for that, muskox will donate another $5 to the Alaska Wildlife Conservancy, which they do anyway with every one of your purchases. So if you buy an outstanding flannel, something that shows you care and shows you love the guy in your life, especially if it's a father-in-law that doesn't like you, like Jason's, like Teresa's dad.
Yeah,
that's
puts up with me.
They will donate $5, and you will get an outstanding flannel, and you can get $15 off that flannel purchase at gomuskox.com by using the promo code FIXITINPOST.
By the way, Kohler's facial hair can't be any worse than mine. Like around the pandemic days and all that, when Upper Deck Jerk guy would be like, hey, can you do a college refs or ass? And I see those every once in a while. I'm like, oh, my God.
Well, yeah, no.
I was like 35, 40 or something.
No, I've got a decade where it looks like I just, put my face in shit. And like.
But you had a goatee, didn't you?
Yeah, it was not.
You can at least grow one. I can't even grow one.
Some years it was all right. But Jeff is right to the sense. If you have facial hair that's not the best, muskox will help it make it look good. All of a sudden it'll look like, oh, he's modeling facial hair. That's what muskox does for you. So again, go muskox.com, fix it and post for $15 off your flannel purchase.
Dan Campbell's Tears next. Number 1, Graham, you usually are full of hyperbole, but Jackson Kohler is the real deal. Unless Nebraska is terrible, then forget I said this. 2, Indiana is a cute story, but they should not be in the playoffs. Bama, Ole Miss, and Miami would destroy them. They will lose by 35 points to Notre Dame.
I don't think so.
What's the spread on that?
I think it's 7.5, maybe. Is what I want to say. I think it'll be a competitive game. Like I think Notre Dame has some advantages up front because I like.
Does Indiana have a beef though?
What do you mean? A beef?
Does Indiana have a beef to where they're seated or whatever?
Not at all. No, because they
should just be happy being there. I know Signetti was kind of pissed, but
yeah, but look, and I understand Indiana fans keep saying, well, this coaching staff didn't set the schedule. But the program still did. The program canceled a game with Louisville to schedule a home game with Western Illinois. So they had 8 home games, and they didn't play Louisville, and they played at FCS. That's like, and then you have this really weak, what turns out to be a really weak Big Ten schedule, which is not their fault. But Michigan State would have started 6-0 with that schedule. Would have been 6-0.
And it was the loss to Ohio State, right? And Indiana kind of showed like you don't really.
Yeah, I think they will be competitive at Notre Dame. I do, and I think it's more than a cute story. I think that it's really impressive. Now, can they continue it year over year? Like his recruiting class is not ranked that high either. I think it's somewhere in the 40s, right? Despite having this incredible year, and
well, you got to have money. You can recruit as much as you want, but Signetti with no money at your doorstep.
Give him some of
See you later, sir.
Ballo's money from the basketball
with his hands on his hips at your front door. Like, oh fuck, you have $1 million for me? Bobby Buckets next. Izzo isn't putting Cohen Carr in the best position to succeed when he plays him at the 3. He's essentially playing 4 centers. Zapala, Kohler, Booker, Cooper, where 2 of them are always on the floor, cut Cooper's minutes, and play 3 guards with Carr, Booker. So Carr's the only non-shooter on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been better than I thought with Carr at the 3. Because Carr understands so much better now how to like his timing of his cuts are really good. He's better driving with the basketball, and he does when he's playing the 3 and the way they run the lanes on the break and all that. Like it's worked out pretty well. I do know what you mean though. Like I think the best version of Cohen Carr is often at the 4. The challenge with that is in putting your best lineups, and that the one advantage of Booker is a guy who can stretch, right? So to me, when you have Carr at the 3, you got to have guys that can stretch, or you at least got to have 3 shooters on the court at all times. That's sort of my general thought. 3 guys who have to be respected to space the floor, and there are still times where that's not quite the case, but it really hasn't been bad. It really hasn't been as bad as I thought it would be, and I think they've stayed away from lineups, and part of it is because, they're big men. Cooper notwithstanding, Cooper's still Cooper. He does some things pretty well cerebrally. Defensively, he's very good, but their big men largely are just understand the game, and they're just more skilled than they were with a guy like Sissoko. And I don't mean to shit on Sissoko here. I liked Mady Sissoko, but he was a guy who just didn't see it in real time as fast as his teammates, and that made a big difference.
MSU Optimist next. Best take. Izzo seems more engaged than he's been since Cassius and company were around. Defend, rebound, and run is back. This team is coachable and wants to win. Izzo feels 45 again. And bonus, Saudi Washington's impact on this team is being noticed. Cohesion on D and playing with pace and looseness on offense.
He should deserve some credit. I mean, I know he's been the guy who works with the bigs more, and they've been a lot better. And you do see, obviously it was Booker after he had that big game against Carolina that really talked about sitting with Saudi Washington and having those one-on-one discussions. So, yeah, I mean, look, Saudi Washington is one of the different variables on this team, and this team is better than it's been. There are other different variables on this team in terms of roster and the position guys are in and growth and all that sort of stuff. But Saudi certainly deserves part of that.
Makes me feel good to see Izzo feels 45 again. I'm like, I'm 45. Feel great. Yeah. Kurt Wisniewski. Ward Manuel should stick to renting cars to Jeff Jackson. He's a disgrace of a college football playoff leader and should be replaced with Nick Saban. And bonus, glad to see Alabama getting to play Scum on New Year's Eve. I hope they beat Manuel and those cork suckers by 1 million.
I just don't know.
I meant to say cocksuckers.
I don't know how many. I mean, both teams have quarterbacks that can't throw. And I mean, that's the other problem. If Alabama's so pissed off, get somebody who can throw. Get somebody better than Jalen Milroe, who's, every other game is just not very good.
Just let him play the game. And
how many guys sit out this game, though? It's going to be a lot.
Right.
It's not like it used
they're sitting it out, why should you watch it? Ken Chu.
I don't know where you're going with that. Why should you?
9 of the 12. I don't know what's going on. It's hot in here. 9 of the 12 college football playoff teams could win it all. This is going to be fun.
It is going to be fun. It's a little
sprinkling on Arizona State, a little for the Natty,
for a little Sam Leavitt action.
I think you have to almost.
I do like their path a little bit. I haven't really looked at it close. The one problem with the league is by the time they get to the championship game on January 20th, is it? Like, I'm going to be so done with college football and on to only the NFL playoffs and college basketball. Money? No, that I won't be caring about it. Like, that's why they got to move it up. It just it lingers too long. But it is going to be fun. I think it's going to be great. Like,
what else is there to do?
I'm already planning days around it. I'm already revamping Christmas parties. I'm reminding my wife. So my wife wants to host a Hallmark party herself. We were at one, during the Lions game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the next one's during Tennessee, Ohio State. So, that doesn't really work that well. But we already, the problem
is...
you
did one during a Lions game, so you can do anything.
Here's the problem with the playoff, too, is people plan holiday parties way in advance. The playoff doesn't come out till, just yesterday. That's another reason to move it up. People got to know, when am I able to go to a holiday party when I already RSVP'd yes to something, and now there's a really big game I want to watch. That's really not fair to the people. That's all I would say, too.
Do you have the volume up during this party while the Lions game is on, or
no? Oh no, it was in the other room. They had it on the TV.
So it's not even in the room. So you have to go into another room.
I had it on my phone with the volume off.
Oh, okay.
And then we got home by the beauty is we got home by halftime. It was fine.
It was not fun. Mike Scott, what are your thoughts on picking teams and seeding them for the playoff? Number one, intent for non-conference scheduling matters more than this non-conference schedule team turned out. Example, Alabama scheduled at Wisconsin. That's good intent. It's not Alabama's fault. Wisconsin sucked. But they also scheduled Mercer at home. That's terrible intent. 2, strength of schedule with conference games shouldn't matter. Teams have no control over their conference schedule. Maybe Indiana would have gone 10-2 against MSU's schedule. Maybe Indiana would have gone 7-5. But they didn't control their league schedule. They went 11-1.
Yeah, this is I am with you on intent and scheduling. I'm a big intent and scheduling guy because intent is about trying to cheat the system. When you go to 8 home games, you're trying to cheat the system. You're trying to have an edge that other people don't have. Don't go to any home games.
You
Don't
didn't
be
know
that
Mercer
school.
wasn't going to be a powerhouse?
Yeah, don't play FCS teams. I mean, Michigan, because it can work out. Like Michigan State played a brutal schedule this year. If Michigan State had been a great team, playing Prairie View would not have mattered because it turned out the schedule was wicked. But if it hadn't, then you run into the same thing Indiana did by playing Western Illinois. Like it's on you. You chose that, and intent and scheduling matters. Again, I think if you go by what's deserved, what teams tried to do, you will always make sure the top 8 teams are in, and they should frame it that way. Our goal is to get the 12 most deserved teams in, and to make sure the 8 best are in, and that's it.
Mojo Jojo, no one will ever schedule interesting non-conference matchups again to start the season, but it's worth it if we consistently get games like Saturday's college football slate. And baked take, James Franklin is the millennial Kirk Ferentz. Why is that a baked take?
Is it dead on?
It's a 1-800-GAMBLER sponsored take. That's why I shouldn't gamble this weekend. I should have a self-imposed ban for gambling on a James Franklin team again. And the over. Unbelievable.
You had the over?
I took the over. Yeah, it was terrible, I got to say.
Wait, what was the over-under? It didn't hit?
Oh, no. I had it was 50-something.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
it was a high over-under. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, it was one of the worst, honestly, worst gambling weekends I've had in probably months. So it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it was all encapsulated with James Franklin blowing it again.
They do have to make sure that, like, I get it. One of the hard things about scheduling is that when you schedule these non-conference games, sometimes that's a lot different than your schedule for the conference and when that comes out. And so that's the trick. Like, you're right in the sense that there has to be a way that if you're Indiana and you see your conference schedule, and again, Indiana doesn't know who's going to be bad and good. That's the hard thing. Michigan State didn't know Indiana was going to be good and Illinois was going to be good, right? But there has to be a way to react to, like, holy crap, we wound up with a weak slate. We think we have a good team. We're going to add this game in here. I do think that's where part of the problem lies.
Is James Franklin untouchable? Like, I know we talk about him like, oh, he can't get fired. There's no way he's on the hot seat. But if he loses in this college football playoff, the first round,
he's
like,
fired.
What is it, 1-15 against top 5 opponents or something? It's just like, yeah, it's great that he gets us to this point, but it's got to be frustrating when you have that amount of talent and a guy that just can't get you over the edge.
I'm going to tell you why, and give me some Hoff, some Feliz Navidad, and
stop telling me what to play.
Woo!
Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad. Feliz Navidad.
Pero son felicidad le va. I don't know the words, but I love the song.
Feliz Navidad.
Absolutely. I mean, fucking everybody masturbates. Right up into my rectum, and it was painful. All right, I found it. I just wanted to listen to more of it. Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I cut it off early there. It was so good.
Jesus.
All right, I am
getting rock hard for Feliz Navidad.
I'm part of the reason that people are going to be pro James Franklin is that they've experienced some tougher times there too at Penn State, and so they know what it feels like when it's not that. But let me read you James Franklin's records, and I understand the playoff didn't exist and he didn't get there. But since 2016, 11-3, 11-2, 9-4, 11-2, 4-5 COVID year, 7-6, 11-2, 10-3. Okay, sounds pretty good.
That's what you looked up.
But hold on.
Oh,
I'm going to read you Joe Paterno's records.
Oh God.
From 95 on, 9-3, 11-2, 9-3, 9-3, 10-3, 5-7, 5-6, 9-4, 3-7, 4-7, 11-1, 9-4, 9. Like the problem is, and this goes to Bo Schembechler too. The problem is the era. These guys who coached when it was back running the Veer, and they're on the sidelines, and they were.
But were they winning big games here and there to give us hope?
Sometimes, but back then 9-2 was acceptable. 10-1 was
natty.
acceptable. You got to a big bowl game and everybody celebrated it, and you got to enough
So
it was just,
what?
It was different. You had to beat 9 other teams to get to the Rose Bowl.
Are you shocked that people are questioning James Franklin though?
I'm just
saying.
saying.
You needed Hoff to look. I get it. He's got a great record. I'm confused by it as well. It's hurting my pocketbook.
I'm saying that Joe Paterno and Bo Schembechler were the James Franklin of their era, and we just didn't know it.
Can't believe I just said pocketbook. What am I, Grandma Panetta? Jesus. Spartan 18770. The Mets signing a 15-year deal with Soto is the equivalent to a 400 credit score signing a 10-year car loan. Neither contract will last. And bonus, Jerry Jones' dumbass will bring Dion and his kid to Dallas next season. I'm in shambles.
Shedeur Sanders, I think he's going to be too high
Spartans a big
pick.
Cowboy fan? I didn't know that.
I think he's going to be too high a pick to get Shedeur unless they trade for him or whatnot.
Deion's not coming.
What do you think about the Soto deal? 15 years, $765 million or something like that?
I got to say, if I'm a Mets fan, I mean, so what? So Shohei Ohtani is a cheap investment compared. I think Soto's a great baseball player, but do you get the value of like $55 million of going to the ballpark? I don't see it. Does he make you that? I mean, obviously, as a non-salary cap sport, do you give a shit about the owner's money? No. I'm just like, but when is it going to stop? Why 15 years? I don't want to sign any player that I'm a fan of to a 15-year deal.
Right.
Zero.
So there's a part of me that like I want to, shit a little bit on Mike Ilitch right now because I feel
How
like
dare you? He's dead.
Oh, sorry. Not his son.
What's
his
Chris.
Chris.
Yeah.
Because he seems sorry, Mike, R.I.P.
How dare you?
Because he seems like he is, overly cheap, and he is overly cheap. I think you have to be willing to play in the free agent market, I think, to win at the highest level. And I'm not sure he is, and I'm not sure Scott Harris is the visionary to pull it off either. So I have my concerns. But I also don't mind that they're not in that realm. I don't mind that they're not spending $760 million over 15 years. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, but you should be in the Shohei Ohtani realm, even if they don't.
Yes.
And we said this even before Ohtani signed with the Dodgers last year. Of just get into the mix,
Well, you should
even
be
if they don't want you there. Like, hey, we're the Tigers. We are interested in your client, Shohei Ohtani. So that way, people see him like, oh, the Tigers are an organization that means business.
Just be in the Tarek Skubal realm. Like,
no shit.
Sign your own dude. That start there.
Yeah, he was at the Lions game. David Cox, Saturday at Breslin Center felt like 2000. That MSU defense is repeatable. Watch out.
You're getting a lot of this stuff, and people feel. Now, the thing I do wonder is it because they haven't seen it in a while and it's so different, or is it? Yeah, I mean, and the other thing is,
let's just be happy that everybody's happy.
No, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do a piece on sort of breakdown of why this and where this is very similar to previous years. I will also remind people that, like, the 18-19 team. There was some real panic late in that season that it wasn't going to come together. There were some years late in the Cassius Winston era where it didn't look like it was going to come together, and it did. But I think both those seasons, frankly. But Are
you telling me that there was panic in past seasons?
There's panic. There's been panic.
You getting ready to column on that?
A lot of years.
Past seasons of panic?
A lot of panic.
Travis Maynard, I told y'all, Jesus, dying. I told y'all MSU basketball would be better this year. Folks wondered how we'd replace 3 starters. We're bigger and better for it. Malik was undersized and couldn't spread the floor. Walker was amazing but undersized, and we relied too much on him. And AJ, well, was AJ. We back. Go green.
You need roster turnover at times, and I do think one of the things about Malik Hall, and I think he was a really good college player, and I think he would have been really good on a team with one more star. I think that
I like Malik.
Yeah, I do too.
He was tough.
And so I think that's the problem. But you're right. He couldn't spread the floor. People didn't respect his shot. But is like your number 2 offensive option, which he often was. And
Malik Hall is a guy you have on a championship team. Like
if you put Malik Hall on this team, it would not hurt this team.
No.
One bit at all. Now, would it take away from, like, Jackson Kohler's a better rebounder than Malik Hall. Jackson Kohler's rebounding at a better level than Malik Hall ever did. And so there's something to think about that. Jackson Kohler is sees the floor better as an offensive player than Malik Hall did. So
his dad listens to the podcast.
And his dad listens to the podcast. Jeff, how you doing, man?
Advantage Kohler. Professor, it's time. Spartan Stadium upgrades should include a roof and artificial turf. Make the stadium usable for events all year and improve the experience for all.
Well,
I agree.
Stop
with this outside stuff.
Well, the artificial turf problem is with the turf grass science school being like cutting edge over at MSU. They were not thrilled when Alan Haller floated that idea a couple years ago.
Oh, did you? I didn't see. Did you ask Haller about the stadium, the volume in the stadium?
I asked him about the fan experience. I will talk to him separately about that. Yeah, they're doing a lot to the stadium.
The new $10 million thingies, right? The big screens.
They're doing new screens. They're working on the suite level stuff, and I think the idea is also, because that stuff is within the realm of like $10 million, $18 million, right? It's not cheap, but it's affordable. When I think some of the stuff they're thinking about long term, and I think what I'll either do as a column or maybe we'll do as part of this show is, like, we'll have suggestions. Like, what would you want your ideal stadium to feature? And then we'll take the realistic
Waters for $1.50.
Well, yeah, because I think I do think it would be helpful for them to hear what people care about, because I do think they are looking at ways to do it, but it's going to be costly, and it might be one of those years where, like, even for a football stadium or for a football season, part of the stadium is like unusable because it's still under construction. Like this stuff they're doing now can all be done by next football season.
Any trough talk then? No troughs?
I have been assured, because I did raise my concerns about the troughs and losing the troughs, that if they remove...
Did Haller look at you kind of weird?
No, I brought it up with somebody else at MSU.
Oh, smart.
I didn't want to bring up the troughs. So I know we're talking about other stuff and NIL and all this, Alan, but the troughs. But I was assured...
I like peeing next to guys without a barrier.
That's how I say it, too. If the troughs are removed, and maybe they'll be for sale, or one will be delivered to my house, or I can get a trough.
Why would you want one of those?
I want a trough.
You're a sick weirdo.
I'd put it in the...
Sleep in it?
Well, my wife's not going to let it in the house, but we could put it in the
It's where you can watch your games, Graham.
I'd pee in the back of the garage in a trough. I think that's what I would do. It'd be great.
A weirdo. C-Dubs 91. Spartan Stadium take. Tear down the east upper deck and build a SRO multi-tiered party deck with lounge areas, several TVs, MSU and other national games on. A game area for the 12-minute timeouts and a pure option stand. It will be allowed in stadiums by that time it's finished. Bonus take. Alabama threatening to not play tough non-conference games when your toughest non-conference game was at Wisconsin, who finished with 5 wins. Makes more sense when you realize the state where these takes are coming from is ranked 45 out of 50 in education.
Yeah, there's lots of reasons to make fun of Alabama, but it's fairly easy to do.
My fellow dumb people.
SRO, I always think of single room occupancy. So I don't. What is SRO?
I don't know. I thought it was fancy. I didn't know what I was saying.
Anyway,
I like that idea though. Why not turn that terrible deck over there into some kind of fun?
I think I think they are aware. Like the problem with the east upper deck is, number one, it just sits on its own. Like in a cold day, the east upper deck is the worst. And otherwise, you just bake, and not bake in a good way like Pure Options bake, but you just bake under the sun on a hot day. And
well, you could bake up there. No one's coming up there to tell you.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. So if you want to sneak in Pure Options, Spartan Stadium, east upper deck, good way to go. I do think that they know there are things that need to be done on a significant level. I don't know if you're not going to lose the upper deck, but there are ways to get fancy if you can afford it.
All right, Richard Kane next. Number 1, if you don't make your league's title game, your whining about strength of schedule is lame as fuck. Also, there should be a rule that teams are ineligible for the college football playoff unless their number of conference games is at least 57% of the number of teams in the conference. 2, Sharon Moore flipping Bryce Underwood crushes the hopes of Spartan fans that Moore is some sort of Brady Hoke redo. 3, making more free throws than their opponents pretends.
Yep.
Good things for MSU this season, especially in March. And bonus, the answer to the conundrum of where do you put your beer as you unload into the trough is you hold it with your teeth, obviously. That's a true man right there.
Yeah.
What do you got going on? Yeah, if you're holding it with your teeth, you got 2 hands? Jesus, man.
Have you ever held a beer with your teeth while you pee in a trough?
For what reason? I'm a one-hand guy. I have another hand.
Right. No, it's fair.
I hold my balls? I mean, come on.
Yeah, and I would be worried, like, if you lose the grip with the teeth, with the beer, that could get bad.
Yeah, but at least you have 2 hands on your mule. You look like a man. I mean, I don't get it.
Yeah, no, it's, yeah. Very.
Never had that problem. Have you ever held on to a beer with your teeth? Couch just asked. Kermit the Spartan. In college football, ranked wins or losses is a statistic that is really only about as good as the reliability of the polls. This is one reason why automatic qualifiers are important. It's very reasonable to have a check on the possibility that the polls got it wrong or missed a team or two. And bonus take. Cassius Winston wasn't as good as Jace Richardson is at this point in his career. I'm excited to see what he becomes, even as I thoroughly enjoy watching him play now.
Yeah, the problem with enjoying, I mean, you can enjoy Jace Richardson in any uniform, but he's going to be in the NBA faster than Cassius Winston was. He just got more of a pro build than Cassius Winston did. Cassius Winston, in a lot of ways, was the ideal recruit because he wasn't an easy pro. He's a 4-year college guy. Would have made a ton of money in the NIL space today. I was thinking about this with Jace Richardson is an NBA guy, and some of the guys who went early. Like, one of the advantages Jace Richardson has, besides having a mom and dad who were big basketball players or coaches, his mom coached him forever, and coming from money, is you're going to have a lot of good advice when you go to make any decision, and you're not going to need the money. and his dad stayed 2 years at MSU. He'll know the advantages and he'll get good advice. But I think about people like, not just Cash would have made a lot of money, but like Deontay Davis, who left for the money, only for the money, and it affected his life. And he got, 3 years, $3 million from the Memphis Grizzlies in that initial contract. He could have gotten that in college basketball today, and he could have continued his education, grown up a little more, matured, and had.
Those stories are endless, though.
Yeah, it just sucks. And you think about those guys. You think about Marcus Taylor.
Oh.
You just think about these guys and what certain guys who made those decisions back in the day, what it could have done. And you start to think about the back payments going 10 years. Maybe they should go 50 years. Maybe they should, in terms of the house settlement, because there are a lot of guys who, again, times change and everything. Lots of people get screwed.
How much money
with
was
bad
made
decisions.
off Marcus Taylor that he saw zero of it?
Well,
That's
not as much as you think, because he didn't stick around that much. He wasn't
not from just Michigan State.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to remember in 7th grade he was being talked about. I remember when I was in high school, it was like this 8th grader kid.
It's not like Waverly High School is some billion-dollar operation. I don't know how much money.
Yeah, but he was being compared to Magic, because the Lansing area.
100%. Yeah, for sure. To the first point, though, Kermit the Spartan raises a good point. The idea that in college football, ranked wins or losses as a statistic is really only as good as the reliability of the polls. This is one reason why automatic qualifiers are important. I think qualifying for the playoff is still fine. I think the conference champions qualifying for the playoff matters. I think it's the buys that are the problem. I think those two things are different. And you could still do that through the tiebreakers. The top team through the tiebreaker without playing a conference championship game would still get would get that advantage.
Suburban Man of Leisure next. I'm rarely disappointed with a Spartan victory, but it is nice to see them winning convincingly. I feel like uninspiring wins were normal last season. And bonus, do I really feel compelled to congratulate Ward and the committee for having the courage to leave Alabama out of the playoff?
If you feel compelled, you feel compelled.
No.
Yeah, no. Should have been easier to do than it was. It was, to me, deserved. I mean, they got creamed by Oklahoma, a pretty average Oklahoma team on the road in the last game of the year. I mean, there's just, I don't really understand.
And they're Alabama.
I just don't understand the argument. Like, if Alabama wasn't Alabama, though, there would be nobody would be complaining at all.
Max Spade, here's what we know. MSU basketball and the Lions know how to take care of business. That's it. That's the tweet. And bonus, I want SMU to win so we can have the all horses quarterfinal.
Who's SMU got in the? Hold on. Give me
Sounds like my wife.
Give me some.
She'd say.
You a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas. I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Peacock.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
Peacock.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas.
Peacock.
I wanna wish you a Merry Christmas from the bottom of my heart.
Free Ubers.
I wasn't done listening.
Yeah, that's all you get.
All right. Sorry, the first bracket I pulled up. First of all, I wish Google could scrub people's predicted brackets. First one I pulled up was somebody's prediction for a bracket. It's like, okay, we got to
John U. Bacon's.
We got to get. No, it's not. It was Tom Fornelli's. But so yeah, that would be SMU would then play Boise State. Yes, the Broncos versus the Mustangs.
Is this what you're looking up?
That's all I was looking
I
at.
forget sometimes.
Yeah.
Jordan Villarreal. Next.
Villarreal.
Whatever. Lukewarm take. Don't rush Aiden Hutchinson back, and like some reports are saying, I want to see him fully recovered. Long-term talent and future Lions legend. And bonus, the College Football Playoff Committee should just seed the teams. Weird seeing a 16th-ranked Clemson take the spot of an 11th-ranked Bama.
Well, they want. I see. I do believe, winning the conference. And granted, this is through a title game, and maybe those go away. But winning the conference should still get you in the postseason. It's the buys. It shouldn't be there. Question on Aiden Hutchinson: are there still ideas that he's going to be back, perhaps for the playoffs?
There's no. I mean, no one really knows. All we saw was him in the whirlpool or whatever that thing was, taking little baby steps. I mean, I just know with advancement. I mean, if medical people are telling you there's no possible way it could happen, right? I mean.
Well,
I think people want to believe because he comes from the background that he comes from with all the medical doctors in his family or whatever.
Well,
gets all the best care.
There are two reasons. With him, the Lions pass rush when he was healthy was very different than it is
Yes.
And you want to believe the Lions did their best to put together a team that was capable of winning a Super Bowl, and losing him was the biggest hit toward that.
If you told me Aiden Hutchinson comes back and helps us win a Super Bowl and never plays again, I'm okay with it.
The other part of that is I always feel really bad when guys, like if the Lions win a Super Bowl this year and Aiden Hutchinson isn't part of that. That sucks for him.
Nah.
Okay.
I mean, well, yeah, obviously it would suck, but
But not for you, yeah.
Still gets a ring, right? Austin Wolf, lots of demands for Magic Johnson donations to the NIL space. Is he permitted to donate, being an owner of multiple teams?
It's a good question. I certainly wouldn't be able to in
that will not get you Hoff, and he will look that up, but he will look up what horse mascot fucking teams are playing. He will delay the podcast for 2.5 minutes.
Yeah. My bigger issue here is that one of the things that the whole Magic debate has really had me consider is anybody who's donating to NIL collectives, I really hope is donating, and maybe they are. There are lots of philanthropy going on, at least that much money. And I'm not saying people shouldn't donate to passion projects, but at least that much money to something that really fucking matters. And if Magic donates, and he's not going to do it because Magic is not, it's just not in Magic's nature. He's probably not going to give $10 million for a running back, or for a running back, for a roster or whatever. But if he were to give $10 million to MSU football without giving $10 million to the Lansing Promise or something of equal value, I would openly root against MSU football. That would be it. That would be it. Yeah, I couldn't do it.
Come on, Magic. Some dude, one big and heavy take. As fans, we want to be able to judge the quality of the NIL pay-for-play money situation at MSU, but we don't have enough data, which leads to frustration. We have Coach Smith, A.D. Haller, and Darian Harris all telling us that we're really good for football, but we don't know any numbers at all, so we're supposed to trust them. Without that number, it's impossible to make a proper judgment to understand the situation or have anyone to blame. If we all knew that they had spent $10 million last year and they know that they need to spend $17 million this year, and that's the plan, at least we could see all of that and feel at least some type of way about it. And the only way to make that go away is to win a lot more. Team performance is just that much more trusted with Izzo.
So these are good points, and look, it's interesting because I feel like with the Tigers sometimes I feel about like how MSU fans must feel with MSU, and like not are they willing to spend? Do they have it? Like what are we going to see them use it? But I think one of the things Haller spoke to this is he said part of it he understands the transparency piece, but just laying out what your business is and what you have and what you don't, he doesn't think is the best part of
But I feel like if you're willing to spend it, you're willing to talk about it.
Well, and I think what MSU fans really need is just to see it. I mean, if you start to land, like if you get guys, like instead of Derek Harmon leaving your program for Oregon, you're recruiting the Derek Harmons as defensive tackles. People start to go, oh, it's there. You know what I mean? They just need to see the results. You know, if you're, and a part of that's retention of your program. Like if key guys all come back, that's a good sign. But you also, I think, the more important than having an idea of the numbers, because you're just not going to get.
But if you don't tell the people what they want to hear, you risk running people won't pay attention to what you have going on.
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things. I do think if you donate to the NIL, there should be some sort of update on, hey, we've done this well, or we've done this. I don't know. It's tricky. But I agree.
Who likes transparency?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, the problem
when there's
is
money involved.
What will get very interesting is when this comes in-house versus the way it is now, a lot of this stuff is going to be much more FOIA-able and open and out there. So right now, it's coming from Greg Williams and Don Williams, and all it's yeah. Matt McCready, get ready, man. We're going after it.
I hate your impression of yourself. It's terrible. Scott, number one, the payments for players coming in-house next year needs to bring about some system that jointly helps the schools and the athletes. Roster continuity contracts for more than a semester, ways to help athletes graduate, athletes paid for an on-field performance and not hype. And bonus, I highly recommend the show Shrinking on Apple TV.
Sorry, 2 bonuses after 2. Sorry, I put them in the wrong order.
New format. 2, last, as college sports is more about TV now, the arenas need to take a different approach. I like your point on Europe builds appropriate-sized stadiums, which produces great environments. Some schools are adjusting Northwestern and Baylor as examples. Also, the MLS has done well.
Two things. One, Shrinking is fantastic. It is. Have you seen Shrinking? Have you watched it?
No, who's in it?
It's let me give you
I
the
pay
cast.
for Apple TV. I should.
Oh yeah, no, you would like this. It's Jason Segel and Harrison Ford, and they play psychiatrists. It's really fantastic. You'll like the cast.
Do you
You'll love the show.
understand my trepidation with your
I do.
recommendations?
I think everybody out there will say Shrinking is like it's the show. You know how you love a show when you have a new episode of that show. That's the first show you go to. That's this. When we have a new episode of Shrinking, we watch Shrinking. Like it's that good.
Okay.
It's
more
totally,
than a Hallmark movie. That's crazy.
It is nuts.
Must be
as
good.
much as I love the Hallmark movies, it's nuts.
Does your wife allow you to watch it on the good TV?
On the good TV with her. Yeah. She lets me in the living room. It's a big deal for me. It's great. To your point on arenas, though, I do think people have to think about this. Now, gate receipts are so important. You can pack college football venues. I like what Northwestern's doing size-wise in terms of their new stadium, what Baylor's doing with basketball. Create a great experience and, lean into most people are going to be at TV, and that's where the money is. And if you downsize a little bit for a better experience, maybe that's worth it. I think those are all studies that need to be done. What could actually be done with Spartan Stadium? How big does Spartan Stadium really need to be? Based on most of the crowds I see at Spartan Stadium, you need a stadium at Michigan State that is minimum of 65,000. Because, I've just never seen an opener or a game that of any meaning not easily get to that point. So I don't think the stadium size at MSU is necessarily the wrong size. It's just on certain days it definitely feels like it, and you got to do everything you can to make it a better experience on those days.
Joe Naughty next. I'm not worried yet about MSU's football class. The new model is mostly about paying for high school players you think can immediately contribute. For the rest of the team need, pay for transfers, somewhat proven at this college level. Paying NIL for 2 years, hoping a kid develops, is very expensive and risky. How this translates to development positions like O-line, I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I still think the offensive line is largely a high school recruiting and development position. You may get some guys. Maybe that starts to change. I think the linemen are definitely going to be late to it. Look, this transfer portal will be telling. And look, they think they did pretty well in the transfer portal last year. And they did. There were a number of guys who did pretty well. But obviously the results on the field didn't really resonate that way. So you need guys to develop. You need your recruiting class to be better than the rankings of it, and then you do need to land some guys that are difference makers. And
but if Smith was good at evaluating high school offensive line talent, wouldn't it be easier when the guys are more older and you're in that transfer portal to see guys?
I'm just saying there aren't
bring them in. It would be
there aren't a lot of good ones who get in the portal. Is the problem that in that position they just so far haven't been.
Money would get those guys.
Well, yeah, and again the idea of an NIL for the offensive line would a collective, and because there's going to be a clearinghouse, so it's going to have to be. Apparently, and we'll see if this sticks, a little more legitimate NIL. But you could easily do all sorts of promotions with the big uglies, so to speak, or whatever you want to call them, right? I mean, hosses, bosses, I don't know. I'm just making up words at this point. But, you could create a theme, and that becomes the NIL collective.
Let Ebling handle all the pun stuff. Fossman, 80. Number one, nice interview of Alan Haller, but it was vacant on any specifics of what MSU's athletic department is doing to engage MSU's 500,000 living alumni. Think about it. If every living alumni contributed just $50 a year towards NIL fund, basically a tank of gas, that would be $25 million. There is power in micro donations, and I've heard nothing about how MSU plans to leverage the power of its living alumni. 2, a 48-19 rebounding advantage against Nebraska on Saturday was refreshing, to say the least. That plus our shooting percentage made our 17 turnovers almost irrelevant. If MSU can continue to out-rebound teams game in, game out, we are in for at least a good season of Spartan basketball.
Yeah, the rebounding's been key. To your point, like one of the things people in fundraising will tell you is with micro donations are not a reliable way to get to anything. But that doesn't mean they shouldn't better engage their living alumni. And when you talk about ways to get $50 more a year out of them in NIL, and I understand that the collective, for example, and things are changing, but the collective is a separate entity. But you could tie. Are you willing? It's like when you go to a McDonald's and you get a coffee and they're like, you willing to round up? You know what I mean? You could tie season
for children's education.
Yeah. Well, Well, again, this is all bullshit. I mean, we're all understand when this obsession with NIL is not actually good. Like there are lots of things in this country we ought to fix before we pay for college football, but that's not what we're going to do because that's not who we are as a people. but nonetheless, like you could have with your season ticket in any sport. Like, are you willing to donate an extra $5? Now, again, those things aren't tied together right now, but can you get to a point where they are? I don't know. Maybe that's a solution going forward.
Would you like to round up for MSU's offensive line?
There you go.
It's a little wordy, but
no, but round up the round guys. They're nice big round dudes.
All right. Why does it have to be a thing?
I'm sorry.
Can you just say it? PD, number one, how would you rank these three aspects of MSU's basketball play as having the biggest impact on their success? Rebounding, playing fast, and getting into offense quickly, or getting into the line and converting free throws? And two, alternate idea to fouling out in college basketball. Opposing team gets to play 6-on-5 while the player with 5+ fouls is on the court. And was this a bonus?
No, this is what up.
What up, Jason? What up, Doe?
He sent me an email and said, "Tell Jason what up." So I just included it.
Oh, all right, what's up, man?
Yeah. So yeah, I should have. Yeah. Anyway, so the alternative idea to fouling out, opposing team gets 6-on-5. That changes the game too much. That doesn't work. Teams wouldn't even know how to play 6-on-5. Like, everything you do is built 5-on-6. It wouldn't be an advantage. It would hurt the spacing. I mean, I do like the creative ideas. I just don't think that's one that gets you there. In terms of the biggest impact on the success, rebounding, playing fast, getting their offense quickly, and getting to the line and converting free throws, to me, I would say the rebounding has been a really big part of that because it leads to the other stuff. It leads to playing fast and getting into offense quickly and transition offense and getting to the line. I think it all starts with the rebounding. I would put that one.
Skylar Verdon. Next. Hot take. Jeremy Fear's new hairstyle makes him look like Wallace from The Wire. They've even both been shot. Also, my girlfriend is from Baltimore and hates The Wire for some reason. What's up with that?
That's not cool. I don't know.
Why don't you ask her? I mean, what? I need an explanation. Like, why does she hate The Wire?
I can't remember. Where are you on The Wire?
Where am I?
Have you watched The Wire?
Absolutely. I got it from Family Video. I got the whole
good.
DVD season.
Yeah, and you love The Wire.
Oh, absolutely. I have not watched it in maybe 15 years or so, but I definitely was all Oz, Wire back. That's when TV was great, dude. I was all into that shit.
Yeah, I mean, I still think TV is better than it was in the 90s, but the 2000s through 2012 was the best. And there was something about going to the video store to get a DVD of the next season of something that was really exciting.
Dude, you could just hammer the episodes out.
Oh, my God. I mean, I remember being on my recumbent exercise bike in my house in Kalamazoo before the treadmill days.
Of course.
And
recumbent exercise.
And I would just go and go and go. And I worked late, and I would be up at night, like watching like 12 episodes of The Wire, and then I would think, God damn it, the video store's not open yet. I can't go get the next one. It was
like, it makes me wonder how morbidly obese you would be if not for all of this exercise.
Oh, God.
Like, you're constantly on treadmills, and incumbent bikes.
I mean, let me give you an example of last night for me. All right?
Please do.
All right. So I walked.
Makes me appreciate my life. Go ahead.
I walked 6 miles yesterday on a treadmill, right? At a pretty fast pace.
What's the speed?
Sweat. Like 4.1 miles an hour.
Wow.
Pretty good walk.
All right.
So,
I don't know if I believe it, but all right.
Well, I'll take a picture of it on the treadmill now. Anyway, and so and I walked 3 miles earlier in the day and 3 miles later in the day after dinner, and like, that's a great way to, that's the last thing that happens. All good, except then I start doing some work. Wife's in bed. So Raccoon Graham comes out, and I wander into the kitchen, and we had some chili earlier, so I had another bowl of chili, and then I was like,
what time?
10:30.
All right.
Then like 11:30, I was like, what sounds good? Cereal and a banana. So I did that.
Right.
Yeah. Then I made a cup of decaf coffee, and and that was it. But like cereal and a banana and a chili between 10:30 and midnight.
What does a decaf coffee do for you?
It just it tricks my brain into thinking I'm having coffee because I work well when I have coffee.
Oh, okay. So it's like a placebo kind of thing.
100%.
You're doing to yourself.
100%. That is a story not worth telling, but told anyway. Presented by our friends at Midtown Brewing Company. And if you would like a better meal in your life and to eat well and feel great about it and have a great date night and enjoy the cozy vibes of Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing, swing on by right in downtown Lansing on Washington Avenue there. And first of all, the American Stout is my favorite beer in the world, I think, especially this time of year. It's also such a cool menu. They do lots of things well. You can eat a little heavier. You can eat comfort foods. They also do some lighter stuff. I've had meals there so good I've wanted to tell the chef, thank you. And that doesn't happen very many places. It does at Midtown Brewing Company. Great place for events, for Christmas parties, for work lunches, for a drink after work, to watch a game. Again, Midtown Brewing Company in downtown Lansing.
By the way, question. Yeah. Just one bowl of cereal?
Yeah, just one.
I don't believe so. What? If you have milk left over, you got to pour some more cereal in to use all the milk.
Pretty good.
So therefore, you get into 3 bowls of cereal.
I'm pretty good at not overdoing the milk, so it's the right ratio, and then I just drink a little at the end. Yeah,
veteran.
I may have had a glass of whiskey too at the end.
Jesus, man.
Yeah,
what a night. Yeah. Matt C. Couch and I disagree on many things, but I'll give him his flowers on his best 2 takes of 2024. Is this Matt C?
I guess so.
Is this really him?
This is what Pure Options can do for you. Pure Options has turned Matt C. into this kind, gentle, positive person.
All right, number 1, Sam Levitt is a better quarterback than Aiden Childs. I chose him too in my best couch voice. That's Matt C. 2, a healthy Jackson Kohler will be a plus player at MSU. Guy is a rebounding monster. And bonus, MSU basketball is officially back. Jeremy Fears threw an alley-oop to Carr sitting down while Hogard would have reached for a bag of chips. This team is so much more enjoyable to watch. They rebound, defend, and attack the rim. I mean, if Tom Izzo can look at one thing, maybe in 2024 that he's done, Matt C. turning his mentality around and giving compliments out.
Yeah, I know it's
got to be up there.
It's a good look on you, Matt C. The Sam Levitt thing right now. Look, Sam Levitt's really good. We knew he was really good, and whether Aiden Childs is ever better than him, we'll see. We'll have to see. But right now, I mean, look, and the situation is not something that you can really. You can say, well, it's regrettable they didn't keep him, and I do wonder if Sam Levitt had been the starter all last year, and then a guy like Jonathan Smith comes in, even with that past relationship, what that would have done. But you read Sam Levitt's comments that I believe were in Spartans Illustrated after the season when he decided to go. It was pretty clear he was offended by Jonathan Smith and he was not sticking around. And it's one player. You think about. With Kirk Cousins and Nick Foles, right? Sometimes you got 2 NFL guys on the roster and it's just not going to work.
Yeah, but to be offended by Jonathan Smith, I mean, he had Aiden Childs. It's his guy.
Yep,
coming in from another.
But it's just weird, because initially you think Sam Levitt's from an hour outside of Oregon State. Wait a second, this might actually work.
Sure.
And then you realize that was actually the worst thing possible.
Rich Searing next. Number 1, Jace Richardson will be a one and done. 2, MSU men's hoops will make the Sweet 16. And 3, Ryan Day will leave Ohio State after the season.
Where would you want to go? You want to go?
He's going to leave on his own, or he's going to be told to leave?
I think he wants to fix it there. I understand. I understand in the moment. A lot of people said it'd be better to just go to North Carolina or, NFL coordinator
Belichick's
job.
spot, man.
Yeah.
Him and his 25-year-old girlfriend are going to go to North Carolina.
That's a weird hire, by the way. In college sports, I don't.
Dude,
what
do you mean it's weird? It's amazing. They had Mac Brown there. Bill Belichick is a motherfucking legend. What are you talking about?
I'm not saying he's not, but he's in his 70s, man.
So what?
Okay.
What else is he going to do?
Well,
I don't know. Why not have? But if you're North Carolina, I'm saying, why is it a crazy? I would absolutely have Bill Belichick.
I would not make that hire.
Oh, please. Who are you going to hire?
Anybody else? It's younger
anyone.
And understands
Ward
the
Manuel.
college game.
I'm going to hire Ward
Well,
Manuel.
no, not Ward.
Well, you said anyone.
Okay, yeah. I did.
Mr. Minsley next. Number 1 confession. I'm afraid that I'm not an MSU basketball fan, but an Izzo fan. I love point guards who are an extension of their coach and crashing the boards like a football player. I was a college student when he was hired, and I don't know anything else. 2, let's stop debating MSU's starting 5 and just start sending waves of players in, a la Nolan Richardson's 40 Minutes of Hell. We can worry less about being matchup proof, play with determination, and wear down every opponent. This team is deep enough and balanced enough to make it happen.
So the Izzo fan thing is interesting. I will be. I bet you after Izzo's gone, you'll still like Michigan State basketball. But for me with John Elway, I thought I was a Broncos fan, and then found out I was just a John Elway fan, and didn't realize it until
We said, would somebody please guard somebody?
Until Bubby Brister was the quarterback for a full season. So yeah, maybe that could happen. The fact that you were a student there and you're tied to the school as well, I think you'll find your ties being stronger than that.
David Jackson, number 1, does Graham get a big head when he sees the 3 of the 5 trending articles on the LSJ app are his work? Has to be. 2, MSU can't win the Big Ten Hockey Championship next week in Minneapolis, but we certainly can lose it. Anything worse than a split will be crushing. And bonus, you need to invite Nathaniel Bott onto the show as a guest to break down Big Ten hockey.
We can do that at some point, absolutely. And as they start to get in we're more likely to have him on Spartan Speak than probably here, but I'm not saying we're we're against doing that. It is a big weekend.
Just don't talk to Harry about your soccer parlays, and we can fill that 5 minutes with Nathaniel Bott.
That's fair enough.
He's better off.
That's absolutely fair.
Do you get a big head? Did you see? I mean, what were the other articles that were trending?
Yeah,
QPs has a sale on.
I cover MSU, the most popular beat in town, and I'm one of like 12 writers left at the LSJ. I should be trending on the LSJ app. If I'm not trending on the LSJ app, then I need to be fired.
Jackson David's next. Graham.
Wait, this is David Jackson's burner?
You wrote this. What do you mean?
Yeah, no, I think it's David Jackson's burner.
Graham, explain to us why you hate Jesus and Michigan State success. Too much pure options. People are saying you've had one too many Dabos.
Yeah, I don't hate Jesus or Michigan State success.
Pure options makes you believe in God more. I think.
Yeah, no, I don't.
That's me.
I just believe in good works. I don't believe in being showy about it. That's my issue. A little too showy. If somebody asks you a question about why your football team won, and
why didn't you have like all 5 like trending at the same time?
I had like
talk about
3 or
that.
4, 2 or 3.
Why
yeah,
only
no,
3 out of 5?
It's
How dare
fair.
you?
No, it's fair.
What's wrong with you, man? Step it up.
I get called into the boss's office today.
David, rough weekend for MSU hockey. Is it reasonable to still expect that they should win a very tough Big Ten championship, or is it more realistic to just expect a tournament berth?
Well, they got 2. Well, they get 2 points out of the 6 at Wisconsin. It was a good team. And then Minnesota will be telling. Look, the Big Ten is brutal, and year after year, it's going to be a hard year to like win consistently and always be at the top of. Last year they won the Big Ten, but there's a pretty good argument they weren't like always the best team. I mean, like the best Minnesota teams, like what was it, 4 or 5 years ago? Minnesota had a team that was just like insanely good. Michigan State hasn't had that team yet, but I think it's reasonable to expect them to be in the hunt. I don't think it's ever going to be reasonable to expect them to win the Big Ten championship just because the league is so stacked every year. And it's hockey and shit can go wrong. But this weekend is David Jackson said, is an important weekend. Like, you don't want to fall too far behind. You need to go. You want to go to Minneapolis and split.
Jebediah next. So much for the post your takes in the comments of our last show on YouTube. Linsanity run. Guess I'm back on this deceased app. Anyway, whoever wins between MSU and Michigan on March 9th will win the Big Ten regular season title. And bonus July take that I won't remember for them. I've noticed that my favorite albums from my favorite bands all came before I discovered the band. I think getting the full experience at once, as opposed to overplaying singles from the album until its releases, is the main factor.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, good. Look, and if anybody has July topics, they should not hold back. Like, I understand that. A lot of time you think, that's good, I'll hold on to it. We never remember them. So just get it out there. Spit it out. It's good. To your first point on
as we don't answer it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, what do you want me to say?
I don't know.
It's interesting. I don't know. But you can always post on YouTube's last show. I do check those comments, even if I don't mention it. I'll try to make sure I'm mentioning it in the.
But do you tag it with like the tweet?
No, what you do
of
is
the video. Do you put the YouTube video in there to say if you want to put, or no? That doesn't.
No,
matter.
what you do is you just go in the comments and put your. So if you don't want to be, because a lot of we're getting interaction a lot of different ways now. A lot less of it's on Twitter. Some of it's on Twitter still. Some of it's on Blue Sky now because I tweet out from my own account there for it. I get a lot more emails because I put the email
there. Is Blue
there.
Sky's popping still? I mean, what's going on?
Blue Sky's a thing.
I got to get back on. I don't know.
Blue Sky's a thing.
Oh.
Some YouTube, all that stuff. So like and the one thing I will also ask of just a favor is you're in different realms is just to try to keep the questions and takes tight because as we lose the control of the Twitter, what are they called when characters limits? Sometimes these get a little lengthy.
All right, MC Hammer logos next. Since God favored Clemson, that must mean Methodist is the wrong religion, and we can remove that one too.
Yeah, it's a bad day for the Southern Methodist, a really bad day because God favored Dabo Sweeney, so that's it.
Tyler, number one. So now will Dabo blame God for being against him in Clemson, or praise God for supporting Ohio State in the playoff? And two, instead of adding to the stupidity of being outraged over 3 and 4 loss SEC teams that split hundreds of millions together by choosing to be in a tough conference than whining about losses. 3, I just want to hear a funny story from either of you, something goofy that happened recently.
Do you have one? Do you have something that's of note when you were traveling? The Lions game, hanging out with Therese, father-in-law, prison?
I don't have anything nothing goofy. Nothing. I got it. Oh, man. I wish I would have saw this earlier. I would have racked my fat head.
I ate chili and a bowl of cereal after 10:30 last night. That's not really
and a banana.
Goofy? Is that goofy? I mean,
and a pot of decaf coffee to trick yourself.
Absolutely. At the Hallmark Christmas party, I got a new shirt that has.
You guys give each other gifts?
Yeah. Oh, it's cool. You win too. We play Hallmark Bingo, which is really sweet. So Hallmark Bingo is fun because you print out these forms and it's like all the cliche things that happen in Hallmark movies. If that happens in the movie, you get a bingo piece, right? And my big problem with Hallmark Bingo is the pieces we use to mark the card that you have are Hershey's Kisses, and I tend to eat a lot of my pieces so it's hard for me to fill out the bingo card. So that's the only issue. Another story we're telling presented by Midtown Brewing Company. Man, fat kid stuff
I
happening.
would need 100 milligrams.
Yeah,
I'd have to take it right beforehand.
Well, and if you
if
you don't want to be at a Hallmark party and you get taken to one, I'm telling you, Hallmark movies are not worse with Pure Options. Go to pureoptions.com.
They're terrible. They're fucking terrible.
Not all of them.
Yeah, they are.
It's about the budget.
I've actually given one a shot. I'm like, all right, let me see.
You gave one. You gave the wrong one. Like I could send you 5 Hallmark movies that are really
on
good quality.
Peacock, because when I turn on Dan Patrick in the morning, I'm saying there's the Hallmark channel. I go, let me just see what the hell this is, and then it's like 2 minutes, and it's just like, it makes my balls hurt.
I'm gonna put a list of like 5 good Hallmark movies that people should watch over the years. That will even some dark ones back in the day when they're like dealing with domestic abuse.
Well, now we're talking
all this sort of stuff. Speaking,
who wants to watch that during the holidays?
I'm just saying. I mean, so speaking of that, I'm hopeful that at some point Muskox winds up in a Hallmark film. But Brad Hoos, CEO of Muskox, reached out to me for the photo that I took in the water in Hawaii wearing a muskox. So I'm hoping that I will officially be a muskox model at some point. You too can look like a muskox model again. Go to gomuskox.com. Use the promo code Fix It in Post for $15 off. Buy a gift for yourself or your friend. Underrated swimwear. Wearing a muskox flannel, but really, really fantastic for this time of year, of course.
I like that he asked you for a copy of it. Let me get a copy of that.
I'm not sure
Tree Center
like that.
weekend highlights next. What if NFL kickers? This was her bait take, I guess. What if NFL kickers are participating in a silent protest to earn more money by sucking ass?
I guess that could
Spotify. Okay, and then she says Spotify stats don't lie, and then I think she probably posted her thing where end of your review on Spotify. Couch in the Room #1. Dateline NBC #2, 3 New Heights. Well, I'm shocked that this is 3 New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelce, and 4 Dateline True Crime Weekly. I figured New Heights with Kelce, the Kelce Bros, would even beat our podcast.
I'm excited.
That way more.
I'm excited that we're #1. Even in your I mean, she is married to you, but still, I mean, she wouldn't. I guarantee you, we're not one in Elizabeth's Spotify rap.
That's
for sure.
That's valid. JB, what bowl do you think MSU would have gone to if they went 6-6?
Most likely Detroit.
What a depressing question.
Could have been also the game in near Tempe, Arizona. No, in Arizona would have been the other option.
Neurotic Pants #1. Under 500 coach Jonathan Smith isn't owed any faith on the basis of this season, but neither is he at fault. 2, these millionaire college students should use their money to hire private trainers and coaches in the offseason. That would probably break some rule if they did it formally, so do it off the books. And 3, if Jason weren't so mean to Graham, the show wouldn't be nearly as funny. It's the inherent and existential sadness of the podcast. One man, his donuts, show tunes, innocence, and the harshly worded slings and arrows of the rubes who assail him.
Well said, man. We should use that. I'm going to borrow that right now because I may
tweet that out.
Use that in the show.
Constantly tweet that out.
Show promo. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, we appreciate you. Yeah.
We're not that harsh on you.
We're not. No,
we're all just having a good time.
It all comes from love.
Yeah. We wouldn't do 1,000 shows together. Jarrett, the new NIL setup for MSU basketball allowed for Izzo to go back to his roots and create a deep team and pay a whole roster. Without NIL, this team would not have a deep roster.
Well, yeah, you're probably if this team, if there's no NIL existed, it might still. But if you went back to like 2018, but right, if Michigan State struggled with NIL, a lot of this roster wouldn't be there. Michigan State is able to. In basketball is where I think people want them to be in football. They don't need to be at the very top, but they need to be able to put together a roster that can compete at the top, and that's what they have in basketball.
Mr. Benjen, #1, Alan Haller's most important line in the interview was, "I'm not going to do anything foolish where I'm throwing a bunch of threats that I can't back up." That tells me he knows we're bent over with the cheeks spread for the commish. And 2, doing donuts in a car is so much fun.
Not as fun as eating donuts, but have you ever done car donuts?
Absolutely.
Where?
All the fucking time. What do you mean?
Like
in my
recently?
life?
Recently?
No, not recently. No.
Oh.
Back in my crazy days. I don't know.
Yeah.
Get drunk and go to a parking lot and do some spins.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. No, sounds fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like.
You asked.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish there's some of the stuff that Haller said off the record. I wish I could share because I do come away with a better understanding of where he is on Michigan stuff and CMU stuff and but it's just stuff he just doesn't want to litigate those battles in the press. Doesn't think it makes him look good and doesn't make the MSU look good, and so doesn't want to do it. So I can't go there.
Dave Lakin, the Red Wings either have enough talent to be successful this year and have a bad coach, or they don't have enough talent. If they don't have enough talent, it has to be Yzerman's fault. I just can't fathom how he was successful in Tampa Bay, but not in Hockeytown.
Yeah, the Red Wings are kind of this frustrating stake. Like they were supposed to be good. I'm going to lose a season win bets on them, bet for sure. I think at this point, I don't know. I have you watched the Red Wings game yet this year? Yeah, me neither.
I haven't,
so we should stop pretending.
To Sparty and GL, can we pass a rule that announcers are forbidden to tell us where someone transferred from? He was not loyal to that school, so who cares? And Bake Take, when Jackson makes a slam dunk, is that a Kohler flush?
I like it. There we go.
Okay. MCV 0512 eventually lack of trust with the committee members as well as fan frustration will cycle the college football postseason back to the BCS model to do away with overtime in college football and bring back ties. Conferences are large enough now with tiebreakers really won't matter.
Well, and frankly, ties will help the tiebreakers. Like it'll separate teams. Like if there's a tie, and so if instead of having two teams that are 10-2 and one is 9-2-1, that team that's 10-2 will be ahead of them. I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind overtime. I hate the 2-point conversion thing in overtime. I think they got to get away from that.
Hallmark Channel, what a difference 14 years makes, or not. In 2011, MSU plays the playoff scoring Alabama team at the Citrus Bowl. Did not go well, 49-7 Bama. Now, in 2025, Michigan does the same, but now with open NIL free agency and the transfer portal and opt-outs, why even bother? Bowl game practices.
Yeah, look, it's right. It's a very different situation. That team in 2011 was a motivated Alabama team out to prove a point, and they proved it on Michigan State. And it's just very different. I don't think you'll get that. I don't think the players will care as much. I think there'll still be the same number of opt-outs. I don't know that Alabama can and Michigan's going to have some opt-outs. I just don't know if these teams are going to resemble the best of who they were during the season.
Thomas, reasonable take, given that what we've seen. This MSU men's team should finish in the top third of the conference and be fighting for a double bye in the conference tournament at the very least.
Yeah, I look, if you can still get it, I see Michigan State out there around, plus 1,000, plus 800 to win the Big Ten. If you can get plus 1,000, I think there's some value in that if it's still around.
Dino Spumoni, number one, Michigan and MSU will finish top three in the Big Ten regular season hoops and will be anywhere from a 2 to a 4 seed in the tournament. 2, Davis Warren leads Michigan over the mirrorless Milrow-less Bama in their bowl game. 3, Indiana rolls Notre Dame on the road.
If Indiana, in the first 12-team college football player ever, beats Notre Dame on the road in that state, man, what a
rolls?
What a world! I would enjoy watching that. It'd be fun to watch. To your first point, yeah, and I think people, I think MSU will be top 3, top 4 in the Big Ten. I just do, I really do, and I also because I think they're going to have more consistency that some other schools aren't, and people are dying to see them back in that 2 to 4 seed range where Sweet 16 and beyond is where they're even seeded to get to, where it's not a run if you get there, where that's just where you're supposed to be, and it's a run if you get to the Final Four.
Big John Hogg, number one, Tottenham losing like this reminds me a lot of early Campbell Lions. Hope they turn it around. 2, Izzo has the deepest team in the conference, and I really don't know what the ceiling is. I don't really know what the floor is either. And 3, fuck the Packers.
That's just a general statement for a lot of people, I think. Tottenham does not remind me of the early Campbell Lions. They remind me of the Hotspurs. Remind me of the Lions before Campbell, before they had found the right direction. Tottenham is always the same thing. They always lose the same way, blowing leads and other things. They are the pre-Campbell Lions.
Should I go down to Jake here because we got to get
we got time. We only have 3 more. Yep.
Late Maui take. Hate to say it, but Graham looked sharp behind the scorers table. MSU fans were embarrassing all tournament, screaming every single play, exposing themselves of not knowing ball to the lanky fuck in the back right corner of the Civic Center. You need to get laid.
I didn't think MSU fans were that bad, but I wasn't paying attention to them. That's not great. But you're in Hawaii. Don't be angry. Don't embarrass yourself. Just get yourself a lei and a muskox and enjoy Hawaii.
Jake Hawkins, number one, great column and interview with Alan Haller. I know I asked some tough questions about him on the Twitter question show, but I do like his enthusiasm and outlook for MSU. Sounds like him and MSU have listened to what Mike Valeni had to say. Hope those stadium upgrades get approved. 2, wow, the playoff committee got things right, not sucking up to big brands and letting them into a 12-team college football playoff. Got to admit that the conference championships didn't feel the same this past weekend, though. Hopefully Indiana and Tennessee pull off upsets and move on. And 3, MSU better be ranked in the AP Top 25 after 2 straight dominating performances against Big Ten opponents. What the hell are those voters missing? This team looks pretty good. And bonus, Lions are a team of destiny. Damn the Panthers for choking against the Eagles yesterday and not helping the Lions.
Would have been nice. Another conference loss and a loss for the Panthers would have been nice. Would have been really nice. And top 25, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The voters, when they vote Michigan State in, don't know what they're looking at. And when they don't know what they're looking at. So just don't worry about it.
And finally, Hans Jurgen, number one, Cohen Carr will one day be the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year. 2, Zapala would have made a great 1970s NBA goon. I would like to see him go against Maurice Lucas. 3, Sam Levitt was in East Lansing, and now he's in the playoffs. We done fucked up. And bonus, MSU doesn't play basketball in 10 days. What am I supposed to do with myself? Spend time with my family?
Well, couple things. Cohen Carr to the NBA. Look, Cohen Carr is a difference maker. He does things that you don't find in college basketball very often, and even against elite athletes. But to get to the NBA, that shot will have to develop. That's the best news for MSU because, he's a better. I think he sees the floor better. He can handle the ball better than Brandon Dawson, certainly. But like Dawson, he's at least a 3-year NBA guy or MSU guy, college guy, maybe even more than that. So we will see. And next 10 days, women's basketball plays Iowa on Sunday. There's NFL games. And you can order a muskox flannel. You can go to Pure Options. You can get through the week. Trust me, you can make it. Hold on, I'm going to cough.
Oh, my God.
Sorry. Where'd that come from? We almost made it.
Jesus.
I just
move your head away from the microphone.
I forgot. That's why I got COVID the first time from the person before me.
You have to throw that microphone away.
Yeah, bad deal. Anyway, we appreciate all of you. Thanks for producing our show. We, of course, appreciate Muskox. Go to gomuskox.com. Order your flannel for Christmas, for whatever it is, whatever holiday you're celebrating. Show the guy in your life that you appreciate them. Sorry, I was almost about to die here.
Oh, my God.
Maybe Muskox can fix that, too. Pure Options certainly can. Go to pureoptions.com for location information, some great December deals as well. We appreciate Midtown Brewing Company. Maybe I'll go have a beer right now there.
This is
We'll be back in the
disgusting.
middle of the week. Good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.